This is ACC Nation, your source for ACC sports coverage. Connect with us at accnation.net. Listen to our podcast and streaming radio. Watch us on YouTube and follow us on your favorite social media outlet. Now, here's Will and Jim.
Welcome to ACC Nation. That is Will Ojinin, and I'm Jim Quist. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. You can join us on social media. We're on all kinds of platforms. We're also at YouTube where you can watch this. And if you're listening to us on podcast or streaming radio, make sure that you subscribe to our podcast. Make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube. And, favorite us on your favorite platform for listening to us on streaming radio. We appreciate that. Hey, a lot of stuff going on in college football, Will. You have been talking about it on TikTok. You've been
I've been
busy.
Been very busy today.
Yes, extremely busy. And you just kind of have a feeling that it's not over. So tell us what's going on.
It's been a very busy Sunday. We've had 3 firings on Sunday. Started off with Oregon State firing their coach after an 0-7 start. Ironically, lost to Wake Forest. We'll get more into that later. UAB fired Trent Dilfer. That was a disaster to begin with. But the one of the day is James Franklin at Penn State being owed almost $50 million still for his contract. And you and I, Jim, were talking about this, and it feels very much like a careful what you wish for moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, here's the fun part about that. I keep digging on this, and I keep finding these, the follow-up to that story allegedly is that Adidas pushed for this to happen and actually offered to pay the buyout. So we'll see where that story goes. I just keep thinking to myself, prior to us starting this, I started thinking, so who else could possibly be fired within the next week? You got any thoughts on that?
Wisconsin is the one that immediately comes to mind.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that one hasn't come down. Feels like the next Florida loss could be the end for Billy Napier.
That's
Trying to think, you kind of put me on. Anybody else? I think we're all good in the ACC. I don't think anybody else is getting fired right now.
Yeah.
Immediately, those are the ones that come to mind. Unless things go haywire, Hugh Freeze, but I don't. I think he's still going to be there through into next season.
For this year.
Yeah, at least through the end of the season, but most likely he'll be there next year.
Yeah. The only person that would that's sort of, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've been calling for him basically to be removed anyway. But after that complete collapse on Saturday, I'm thinking, and I'll tell you when we get there, okay? So I'll just say that it's a team that I thought, were in the game, and then it just went up in smoke. And we'll talk about that as we get into it. Let's start out with games and talking about. I don't think this guy is going to be coaching Stanford next year, Frank Reich. I don't think that was the plan anyway. But you see just little sparks here and there. It's almost like, well, they are trying. With what they have, they're trying, but they don't have enough to go up against teams such as SMU. SMU ran over them 34-10.
So I kind of felt like this game was a lot closer than the score indicated.
Yeah, in the beginning, yes.
At least in the beginning. Well, and in the end too, and I'll get to that in a second. But SMU had 369 yards of offense in this game, and 129 of them came on two plays by Chris Johnson Jr. He had a 89-yard TD run and then a 42-yard, I think it was like a 40, it was an 87-yard TD run and a 42-yard reception. That's what it was. That got to the 129. Um, but other than that, they really didn't get a ton going on offense.
Yeah.
Some of that was because Stanford had the ball for something like 38 minutes in this game.
Yes, they
A
did.
lot of ball control because, yeah, just because they SMU had a like big play, and then Stanford actually had a chance to go down to make this a 7-point game late, but Gulbranson threw a pick six that iced the game. Like, looking at if you look at the totality of the game, Stanford was a lot more competitive in this game than you would think. They
Yeah,
actually did have some success through the air. Gulbranson, like I say, but Gulbranson's not a great quarterback. He's the best thing Stanford has on their roster, but he's he's nothing special. I'll be
yeah,
perfectly honest.
yeah. He's functional to a degree, and every once in a while he shows some glimmer of
Hmm.
hope there. Again, when you don't have a whole lot to work with, um, eh, you know, I think that they have slowly but surely sort of come along, and they're doing the best they can with what they have. And as you said, I think they too that Stanford was in that game probably far more than people would imagine from that
Hmm.
final score. And as you point out, SMU having those two big plays are what put numbers up for them offensively.
Hmm.
Um, if you take those away, things look completely different, and you start to understand what Will and I are saying
Hmm.
about this being much more competitive.
Yeah, but I will give credit to SMU's defense a little bit, especially up front, because they did sack Branson six times in this game. They were getting to him, and they've had those moments, especially in the front seven, where they're getting good pressure on quarterbacks, but when they don't, they get torched. Their secondary is not very good.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Mhm.
There's another year for Stanford. Um, and there's more games. I mean, they have, they will surprise people, obviously, and Syracuse found that out. Uh, Next game. Um, I just did not see the outcome here at all. Um, I just felt like, there was more to Florida State um, than Pitt could handle, and and boy, was I absolutely wrong. And you want to talk about being impressed? This freshman quarterback that is who has stepped up now and has taken the place of Eli Holstein. Uh, wow, that made like all the difference in the world. Of course, having Des Reed back too certainly made a huge difference there. Final score 34-31. Pitt knocking out number 25 FSU. I hate to say it, but it's going to be very difficult for FSU to even sniff the top 25 again.
Yep, they're three losses in a row. In this game, they allow Mason Heinschel to throw for 321 yards and run for 64. Des Reed at 45 yards rushing, but eight catches, 155 yards, and a touch and two touchdowns in this game. I mean, and it's not like Florida State didn't do it. They actually they did a pretty good day offensively. Tommy Castellanos threw three touchdown passes. Micaiah Danzy, 133 yards, two touchdowns. But the problem with Florida State in these last three games, now that I mean, it's just what that Alabama game is such an anomaly now because this defense cannot tackle.
No, it's
I'm just like I was watching the game yesterday and then thinking back because I saw obviously I saw the whole Virginia game, didn't see a lot of the Miami game, but it just feels like this team is not very good at tackling.
arm
And
tackling does not work. You know,
yeah, arm
the whole
tackles and just immediately trying to go for the football. We talk, and it's one of the big fundamentals about football. Wrap up. and they're trying to arm tackle and go for the football, and that's not how you make stops on defense. I know trying to go for the turnover is like it's the thing, but at some point you just have to tackle the guy.
Yeah, when you're a cornerback that, maybe 5'10", 185, 195 pounds, and you're dealing with, let's say, a running back that's 6 foot, 215, there's a huge difference in, first of all, the momentum there that you're dealing with and muscularity. And the power that is in the legs of most runners. Um, you try to grab a hold of a guy, just just your arms, right? It's not going to happen. You're not going to take this guy down. You may bounce off of him. If you're lucky, you might push him out of bounds. But this is something that we have pointed out in previous shows. Willis, we talked about the fact that there's so many players who have been improperly taught how to tackle. There's a fear in some ways. I think of this is why we got pads. Okay, so you lower your pads and you get down more to the center of gravity. So you go, basically from chest down to the waist, and that's where you're going. You're going for that area. So that's how, if you want to wrap, then sure, but you get that pad in there and you're going to stop people. That's how you stop people. You make an impression. You're not going to do that just by wrapping your arms around them, because you do that with most people and they're going to look at you and go, "What, do you want to kiss me or what?" So, ain't happening. Next game, Georgia Tech. Um, here's a team that's baffling the crap out of me, and I think it's baffling their head coach as well. Where's the Georgia Tech that started out the season? 35-20 win over Virginia Tech, and you just look flat. You really just look flat. And you know, if you want to stay, or in the top echelon of the top 25 and push your way into the CFP, you're going to have to start really laying wood on people here, guys. I mean, you can't play like this. You can't play games like this. This is not how you move forward and get into the playoffs.
Yeah, Georgia Tech scored 15 points in the first quarter, and it looked like it was just going to be a runaway, but they kept Virginia Tech in this game. It was 21-7 at halftime, and Tech would just get a touchdown, make it close. They cut it to 7 in the third quarter, and then Georgia Tech pulled away a little bit. But those are the kind of things where if you're going to be a contender in the ACC, if you want to be on Miami's level, you got to be consistent. You don't, let a team like Virginia Tech, who probably won't go to a bowl this season, hang around, and especially when you're the home team, and make them think they've got a shot to win this game. Overall, though, they ran for 268 yards, averaged 6 yards per carry. Haynes King 213 through the air, 60 yards on the ground. He had three total touchdowns, and they sacked Kyron Jones four times. And I think even though Jones had a good game, he had two passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown, but it just a lot of that came in junk time when the game was already kind of out of reach, and he's just not a consistent quarterback. And people are kind of clamoring for Pop Watson to get some time, and he did a little bit in this game because Jones went out briefly, but I just don't know what else. I mean, I feel like you've reached your limit with him, and maybe a switch would kind of reinvigorate this team, but I don't know.
Well, I will say that the team, they have talent, Virginia Tech, and there again some signs of life, but like you point out, that this is a team that is not destined for bowl activity at the end of the season. If they keep playing like this, um, sporadic at best, you know. And for God's sakes, he, whoever is have put together that meme of Franklin going to Virginia Tech as the next coach, oh my God. I think I'm going to strangle you. I thought it was funny at first, but now it just keeps popping up in my algorithm, and I'm just going,
Yeah.
oh
Hey,
my God.
imitation's the most sincere form of flattery. So,
Ugh, I can't stand it. And of course, the talk about, well, we're going to get Saban out of retirement. He's going to come to Penn State. So, no, you're not. he's,
no, he's
he's
not.
not.
Let's just get that out of the way right now. And it's so funny because I put this on Instagram, the one about James Franklin, and somebody's like Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Everyone wants Urban Meyer, but you know what? I don't think he's
Until you
coaching
get him,
anymore.
until you have him,
Hmm.
and then you go, what were we thinking? Um, Nick Saban's not a stupid man. I'll just leave it at that.
He's done. He doesn't want to coach in this environment anymore.
You guys at State College, you got a high opinion of yourselves, and maybe it's time to bring it down a notch or two. All right, next up. Here's the game where I think that I was thinking, uh, but I was being unrealistic, and it's because I have a somewhat tainted view of Dave Doran here. Uh, Notre Dame came away with a 36-7 win over NC State. I got to say something. The Pack holding it the way they did for as long as they did was quite impressive. CJ Bailey is one of the top rated quarterbacks in the ACC, if not the. I think he might be. I was just looking at that stat a little while ago. I don't have it up in front of me. Uh, from the standpoint of yardage. Uh, I number one, I'll just say this. You're a better man than me because you apparently either did the temporary or you have the long-term Peacock uh, app subscription, whatever. Um, there's no way in hell that I'm going to spend time or money on a Notre Dame game for one time to get Peacock, and I don't see anything else on that network that's worth my time. Um, but I do regret not having watched NC State. But you watched them, and you could tell us how this game went.
Well, I gave up on it, part of the way through the third quarter. So
Well,
let's
okay. Well, talk to
well.
talk to us about the first and second quarters. The good part.
Last week on the podcast, I said I thought this was going to be a closer than expected game, and I was right for a half because at halftime it was 10-7. State looked pretty good, and I said, "Hey, I didn't think they would win, but I thought they would hang."
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, football games are two halves, and Notre Dame outscored NC State 26-0 in the second half and outgained them 244-87.
Oof.
My math tells me that you don't have a good chance of winning when that you have that kind of ratio. CJ Bailey was picked off three times, just 233 total yards, and it, yeah, he didn't look good at
Went
all.
south.
And on the other side, I think it really shows the development of CJ Carr as a quarterback. He looked a little deer in the headlight-ish against Miami, made good throws, but also looked a little overwhelmed, but he has really improved. And yeah, there was all that consternation about Notre Dame being ranked, even though they were 0-2, and they deserve to be ranked now. I have no doubt in that.
So I'm looking here at the individual schedules of ACC teams to see who else Notre Dame is playing. See they're playing Boston College on November 1st.
Ew.
Yeah. um, I don't see any other. I don't see any other matchups here. Oh yeah, here we go. Pitt, November 15th.
I
Well,
mean, if Mason Heinschel is still like this in a month,
Mm,
that could be interesting.
yeah. So the reason I was looking is because, I'm really getting tired of Notre Dame. Basically, they get scheduled with all these teams in the ACC that are not. There's no parity there. I mean, and I really think it's on purpose. Um, this year started out a little different, so and that was a good thing. I really want ACC teams to show out and deliver some wins against Notre Dame. I mean, it's the thing to do.
Hmm. And it just because of who they play, they say at Boston College on the 1st, they are at Pitt on the 15th, Syracuse at home on the 22nd, and close with Stanford on the 29th. And
Yeah,
I don't think they're unless they travel to Pitt. And like I said, if Heinzel's like this in a month, then that game could be a little interesting.
yeah, yeah. I would venture to say that Pitt right now is better than NC State.
I'd agree with that.
So, and I think you're right about Heinzel is that he's only going to progress. He's, I mean, people talked about, well, why didn't they put him in at the beginning of the season? Well, because he wasn't ready. He's a freshman. Okay, get him ready, get him prepared, let him learn and build some confidence and in his reads and whatnot, and then when the time comes, you put him in like they did, and it has delivered for Pitt, and that's a wonderful thing to see for Pitt fans especially. It's like the frustration of the god awful roller coaster Panthers finally have something to really cheer about. I mean, this is pretty exciting. It was fun to watch this guy, and he did a pretty decent interview on TV afterwards too. I'll give him that much. So now here's another team that, I'm not going to get overly excited here, but they're, I use this term, uh, evolving in prior programs. And here's a program that is evolving under Coach Dickert. Um, and they looked pretty daggone good. I was like, where did this team come from? Wake Forest with a 39-14 win over Oregon State. Now, Oregon State, let's not get too excited here, but nonetheless, Wake Forest looked pretty good. And I don't think it was all that much of an anomaly that they gave Georgia Tech a hard time. I'm beginning to look back at that and look at this game and think to myself, maybe they're coming along a lot faster than I gave them credit for.
If you follow us on TikTok at ACC Nation Net, I actually did a post or a video about talking about Wake Forest and how they have a real shot at a bowl this season. They have two games that I would categorize as winnable, and they play UNC and Delaware
Mhm.
in the third and second game from the end at the end of the season. And I think they can win those. They're 4-2 right now, by the way. And we've seen them give NC State a pretty good game. I think they lost by 10 in that game. And obviously, you can argue a missed offsides call from beating Georgia Tech. Tell you, this team is feisty. And, they didn't even have their starting quarterback, Ashford, in this game. Deshaun Purdy started through four touchdown passes in this game. Demond Claiborne went for 144 yards in this game. It was really total domination by the Deacs. They led 29-0 at halftime. Those two touchdowns came in the go fourth quarter in garbage time, so I ain't worried about that. And then it was so bad that Oregon State fired their coach on Sunday because they're 0-7 and what did I say, 5-14?
Yeah.
And in a year, and then he'd only been there a year and a half, but obviously he was in over his head, and they're moving to a new conference this year, the new and not so improved Pac-12, so they're trying to steer the program in a better direction. But again, Wake's doing a pretty good job under Jake Dickert in year one. They're still not extremely talented. Obviously, Demond Claiborne is a stud,
Mhm.
and they have a wide receiver named Chris Barnes, who I like, who's a really big play threat. They've got pieces there, and if they can build around it, I think they are going to be a consistent bowl team here in the coming years, and that's all you can ask for if you're Wake.
Yeah, that's a surprising turnaround here, I would think. Now, here's here's what I want to point out to people. They're off this coming week, but their first game back is going to be against SMU. And I think this is going to be the challenge game that will show us just what they're made out of. And to be quite frank, to show us what SMU is really made out of. Because it would be my anticipation preseason, early season, SMU should be rolling over Wake Forest. But from what I'm seeing, Wake Forest probably is going to be giving SMU a hard time and could win this game. So
Mhm.
we put these two on the field together. We're going to find out just who's who here. So
And that
that's going to
game
be
is at Wake too, keep in mind. So
that's right.
definitely, I think they have more of a chance with it being there.
This will be an entertaining game, and I'm sure that the stadium is going to be full. It should be. That is going to be a really, I think, dynamic game. So our last game of the evening was uh, showing us that Clemson is starting to find their way back to playing football. I don't know what the hell they were playing earlier in the season, but man, they were really looking like Clemson of old against Boston College. That's also that's your asterisk right there because it was against Boston College. 41-10, the final score there. But I will say, I really think Clemson, I, they seem to be waking up. Um, I think they've been sleepwalking through the beginning of the season.
This was definitely the most impressive performance of the season for Clemson. And just the way they dominated from start to finish. They outgained Boston College 504 to 221. The defense was as it's it was supposed to be advertised preseason. They sacked BC 5 times, forced two turnovers. Now, I'm definitely lowering my opinion of Boston College now, sitting at 1-5. I mean, granted, they're really two plays from 3-3, the Michigan State game and the Cal game. Those were one score losses, but yeah, getting blown out the way they have the past couple of weeks, I think says that things are not going very well for the Eagles right now. And some of it is like here's what I'm talking about. Dylan Lonergan in his first 3 games had 73% completion percentage, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Mhm.
His last 3 games, 57% completion, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So I would like to dig in a little bit more and see what is the root of this problem. Is it just competition level? Is he hurt? Is there something there? And I would like to know because he has not been himself the past few weeks.
Yeah, he hasn't been. It's kind of disappointing, and there's a lot of frustration on the sidelines among the coaching staff. If you watch that game, and anytime they panned to Boston College side, their head coach looked like he was about to explode, and more than one or two times he was just absolutely furious, and I'm not sure what's going on there. Let's look at what's coming up and make our picks. Coming up on Friday, we get back into our wackadoodle schedule here again. This is going to be an interesting game. Competitive, who knows? Louisville at Miami, 7 p.m. on Friday night. It's going to be on ESPN. Your pick, your thoughts.
Yeah, I think Miami's winning this game. I just don't think this Louisville defense is going to be good enough to stop them. And I, quite frankly, don't trust Miller Moss to really have a significant game against this Miami defense, which he's going to need to if they want to win. I mean, yeah, throw it to Chris Bell, but you got to their running backs need to be healthy, and we don't know. They were on bye this week. We don't know how healthy they are, but I just don't think they have the power to beat Miami.
Yeah, I would agree. I'll take Miami in this. Here's the one thing we pointed this out last time. Um, Coach, you need to understand you can't take your foot off the gas. When you're winning a game, you cannot allow the opponent to get back in it. And this has been a problem for Miami. It cannot continue to be that way if you don't start implementing that killer attitude, not only among your coaching staff, but also among your players. Your CFP hopes are going to go up in smoke because you're going to lose to somebody you shouldn't lose to. One loss to an unranked team can shoot you right in the foot. And people will go, well, Alabama and Notre Dame, and they've got law. Yeah, but you got a whole different dynamic going on there, ladies and gentlemen. One in which, the ACC is sort of, out here, and everybody else is over here. And we have to keep that in mind because that's a reality check. Our next game is North Carolina at Cal. It's at 10:30 on ESPN on Friday night.
Cal.
Cal. Okay. Let's move on. So, I'm sorry, guys. Until you resolve what the hell is going on with your head coach and what's going on in the locker room and whatever else. I mean, it's a new rumor every day.
It's a complete bleep show, Jim.
The bleep show it is. Bleepity bleep bleep. Big piles of bleep. All right, Saturday, UConn at Boston College. That's a nooner on ACC Network. That should be a game that the Eagles can handle. Should.
Quite frankly, I don't believe in them right now. I mean, UConn is actually decent. They're 4-2. Granted, they don't have a lot of wins of substance. They almost beat Syracuse, week 2. I guess I'm kind of like, you gotta prove it to me, BC.
Yeah.
Until you do, I'm not gonna pick you. So I'm gonna go contrarian and take UConn to win.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Eagles just because I'm a homer.
I'd
Uh,
like to be wrong, quite frankly, but
I would like for you to be wrong, but that's okay. Our next game, I think, is going to be a really a fascinating game because it's going to demonstrate which one of these teams has a killer instinct and appreciates the fact that if you play in that fashion, that's what gets you ahead. Georgia Tech at Duke, that's a nooner. That's going to be on ESPN. That stadium should be packed to the gills for this game.
I think this is where Georgia Tech finally takes a loss. I think this is where Georgia or Duke's offense does enough to really make Georgia Tech's offense do their struggle. I feel like Duke's offense is going to be too much. Mintz is if he can be on his game, that's the key. Mintz has been a little bit up and down this season, but if he is up, then yeah, they're going to be good. And being this game is in Durham, I will take the Blue Devils to hand Georgia Tech their first loss of the season.
And if you're not listening to what Will just said, I would just suggest that you better take that to heart because this
They,
is a game which is far more evenly matched than what one would imagine. I don't care where teams are or are not ranked.
hmm
Simply this: you're looking at two teams that have dynamic offenses, have very capable defenses, and are pretty evenly matched. And again, what I said before, losing one game, this can really hurt you in a
Yeah,
big,
and
big way.
I just feel like Georgia Tech's been playing with fire too much, quite frankly, and this is where I think they get burned.
Okay. I would say that the coach needs to have a very serious talk with all those young men on that team if they want to continue riding the wave of glory that they're in now. They better wake up. I'm gonna take. Golly, Ned, this is such a tough game to pick.
It really
Um,
is, because you could really easily make a case for both teams to win this game.
yeah, I all right. I'm not gonna pick either one because I honestly, to be frank about it,
Boo!
I like both teams, and oh man, this is just. I think you've got good points here about Duke, though. Um, yeah, I
Just
tell you
hold
what.
up a sign that says, I hope both teams have a good time.
Okay,
Just
here's how I see that game playing out. I see Duke taking off early and Georgia Tech fighting back and winning the game in literally the last few seconds, like they have before in the past in other games. They'll come from behind and win the game. But luck, pure luck. Next up is a rematch of the ACC championship game from last year. It's SMU at Clemson. These are two completely different teams. 3:30 game. It's going to be on the ACC network. Who you picking there, Will?
I would like to know if what we've seen the past couple of weeks by Clemson is a trend going forward, or is it just because they're beating up on the patsies of the ACC? It, I think where I'm leaning is I still think I don't trust SMU secondary to stop Klubnik, and I have a feeling he's going to have a big day through the air, and I just don't think SMU's going to be able to do enough. I think I'll take Clemson, but I think this is going to be a fairly close game, kind of in the same vein of the ACC championship game last year.
Yeah, it won't be, it will not be a BC. So SMU, I just don't think you guys have got enough to stop Clemson on their home turf, and that place is just wild to play in. I mean, it's a whole different environment. So I'm going with Clemson in this one. Washington State at Virginia, 6:30. Hey, the CW gets another really nice game.
Yeah, especially with Washington State taking Ole Miss to the final play of the game. Yeah, this is your reminder not to sleepwalk on your opponent, folks. I know Virginia's a 17-point favorite, at least it opened at that, but
Hmm.
do not sleep on this team. There's a reason they they did, but yeah, I'm still going to take the Hoos to become bowl eligible for the first time in 4 years.
Virginia wins this one, but it's going to be a lot closer than imagined because if Washington State comes in and plays the way that they did this past week uh, against a much superior opponent, um, this is going to be a tough battle. But as I point out, and I really mean this sincerely, and people think that I'm full of it. Uh, you're right about that part, but this particular aspect, Scott Stadium is just one of those places, man. I don't know. It's got a vibe. It really does, and it's just it's something about it that when you come in there, it throws people off. And I don't know what it is, but we have seen more teams roll in there that were superior, that were higher ranked, leave with a loss, and it's shocking. I mean, you know, so I'm just saying that I think this is one of these situations where you can never take Virginia for granted when you're playing them at Scott Stadium. Um, you Wahoos, you need to fill that stadium up because you got a team that has emerged and not filling that
Hmm.
stadium top to bottom is an embarrassment to the University of Virginia. Mr. Jefferson would be outraged.
Yeah, this is where you got to support him if you're a Virginia fan. I mean, you're up to number 18 in the latest AP poll. You This is this is the first home game being ranked, and now you've got to show out. Don't have a half empty stadium because that's just, as Jim said, it's flat out embarrassing if you can't get 35 plus thousand in there. I know it's Washington State, but support the team.
Yeah, and
This
it's a
is
great
you
environment.
you've got this is the best team, like all around team has had in some time, and you've got to get out there and support them.
I'm just saying, if you've never been to a football game, um, this is an opportunity to go out and go out, get some fresh air, meet some interesting people, go a little early, check out the tailgating action because that's always a lot of fun. No matter what, I mean, and people are really friendly. No matter what school you go to, people, especially tailgaters, for reasons unknown to us. Um, eh, we've tailgated there, Will and I, and had a great time with some folks. Didn't didn't know any of them, but I think you might have. But
Yeah, I knew a few of them. Quite frankly, haven't seen some of them in over a decade, so it'd be nice to see them again. But yeah,
yeah,
maybe in the future, in the next couple of years, I'll be able to get down for a game.
there you go. Our next game is Pitt at Syracuse. Oh, did we pick there? I guess we did. I'm picking Virginia. So,
I assumed you were.
yeah. All right. Pitt at Syracuse, 7:30. That's on the ACC network. I think this is a fairly simple one based upon what has occurred with the quarterback situation
Yeah.
at Syracuse. So,
The battle of teams playing their second quarterback. And what we've seen from 2 weeks of Mason Heinschel and 2 weeks of Syracuse quarterback, yeah, I'm taking Pitt on the road in this one.
yep, same here. Pitt. Um, I just can't see it any other way, to be honest with you. And our final game of the evening, Florida State travels out to California, takes on Stanford. It's a 10:30 game. It's on ESPN. Um, I, you know, every once in a while, you kind of look at something, and you go, is this a trap game?
Hmm. You mean
No,
Florida
because
State has to stop the bleeding at some point, right? You would
yeah,
think.
yeah, you would
I
think.
mean, yeah, they've lost three to when we talk about the defense, but you got to get this win. They go into a bye after this, and they should win. I mean, they should win against Wake, but who knows what Wake? They've got some games that are very losable still in the schedule, so you got to stop the bleeding now, or it's all going to be downhill. And hell, who knows with with James Franklin being fired today or being owed 50 plus million dollars, you cannot rule out if they lose to Stanford that Mike Norvell might get fired as well. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I know Florida State's finances, but I guess now we have proof that anything is possible.
This is true. Um, I'm going to go with Florida State for a win. I think a recovery win here. I don't think Stanford is up to snuff. But for God's sakes, do not go in there thinking you're going to easily win this game. This is a team that can and will upset you in a heartbeat. And if you're down on yourself, etc., you're going to give this game away. And that would be extremely embarrassing. I mean, it's just, you know, this is a look. Anytime I've ever played any sport, it's like I've been on winning teams, I've been on losing teams. If you're on a losing team, there's a thing about pride, about self pride. You're going to go out there and give it 110% every single time, even if you know that the outcome may be that you're going to lose. But every once in a while, you do win, and it starts to pump you up, and you get back into the rhythm, and you surprise people. So that's what's got to happen at Florida State. They just have to get back in the groove. I don't know how it's going to happen, when, but it can. It's just that simple. Oh my. Okay. That's a look at sports this week, football especially, and coaches who have gotten bumped. And if there are any more, we'll have those on TikTok so that you can check us out at ACC Nation Net on TikTok, ACC Nation Net, and you'll see Will's mug on there, among other people.
And my personal one at Will's World MN, where I talk more of the outside ACC world and stuff like that.
That's right. All right. Make sure that you check us out at accnation.net. And on there, you'll see all of our social media connections at the top of the page. There's also a connection to our streaming radio and a place to subscribe to our podcast and a place where you can connect to YouTube, our YouTube channel, and make sure that you listen, like, and subscribe there as well. We would love to have you on there. Till the next time around, which is coming a lot faster than we can blink. Cheers.
School.
ACC Nation, your source for ACC sports coverage with Will and Jim. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on our podcast, streaming radio, and YouTube. Connect with us on Blue Sky, Reddit, Instagram, Threads, Mastodon, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn.